All right, let's go ahead and talk about aiming your gun. Okay, now look, a lot of people they've come to the range and they've shot at targets and stuff like that. We know what we're aiming for, but do we actually know what we're looking at or looking for when we aim the gun? Well, let's go ahead and go through that. Okay, so instead of just pointing the gun, you're aiming at the target, but here's what you're really aiming at, and here's what you're really focusing on. You're focusing on your front sight. Okay, so what happens? You have, well, let's go ahead and go through this. You have your front sight, you have your rear sight, right? The target is the sight picture. All right, so when we look through that rear sight and that front sight, we have the rear sight here, front sight here, right? That front sight should be in alignment with your rear sight, and the front sight should be aligned with your sight picture, the target. Okay, so we always say equal light for equal height. Okay, so what happens is if this front sight is up just a little bit high, right, your round's going to go high. It's going to come above the target, right? If you go either side, if you're going to go to the left, if you see it off a little bit to the left, it's going to go to the left, so on and so forth. Pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. You go to the right, you're going to go to the right. Go low, right? You're going to shoot low, right? Um, what we're looking at is we are looking at the front sight. So in my classes, when I teach this, right, we are teaching front sight, front sight, front sight. So when I am looking through, right, this rear sight to my front sight to the sight picture, the only thing that should be clear is my front sight. Okay, the front sight should be going toward whatever you're aiming at, hopefully center mass on that sight picture, the target. Okay, so if I'm aiming my gun at the target, okay, I am looking at my front sight. Okay, we're already pointing it at the target itself or at the sight picture, right? So wherever that front sight goes is where that round is going to go, right? Again, high, low, whatever. You want that right, center, and even height. Equal height, equal light. All right. So when we go ahead and do that, that's what we're aiming for. Now, what's going to throw that off? There could be a lot of things. And I've gotten into grip and trigger pull in other videos, right? But if you pull that trigger, right, if you slap that trigger like this, right, it is going to pull that gun off to whatever hand. I'm left-handed. If I pull that trigger and I slap that trigger and I go boom, 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 it's going to go, it's going to throw me off, and I'm going to be shooting off to more to the left side. Okay, so on and so forth. If you're right hand and you slap that trigger, you're going to be pulling it off to the right side. The trick is to pull back to the wall of the gun, take your shot, right, and reset back to that wall, and then take that other shot. Okay, that way we're not slapping that trigger. So if I go ahead and demonstrate, I'm going to go ahead and there's my target. I'm keeping my finger on that trigger and I am pulling. Okay, I'm not pulling it off, but I'm resetting back to the wall. And now I'm back in, finger off the trigger, reholster. Okay, so that's what we want to do, right? Rear sight, sight picture is a little bit blurry. Your front sight should be clear going into that sight picture or that target, wherever you're aiming at in the target or wherever you're aiming for, period. Okay, now as a caveat to that, right, we're talking about shooting on a range. Most encounters, most threats happen, you know, within, I'm going to say within 3 to 10 feet. Okay, if that happens within 3 to 10 feet, don't try and pull out your gun and find your front sight. Okay, what we want to do is it's basically you are a point shooter. You're point shooting, right? What is point shooting? Is if you're 3 feet away, you can't miss. If you're 5 feet away, you can't miss. You're going to hit somewhere in that threat or that target or wherever. Okay, what we want to do is we want to stop the threat. Okay, so if I'm here and let's say, and I'm not, I'm more like, I'm more like 7 yards away, 10 yards away, and I see that threat coming after me, right? And I go, oh no, right? And so, as you can see, I did not go into my front sight at all, right? Because you do that, it's going to be too late. Anyway, all right. So I hope you guys get it. Okay, front sight, rear sight, sight picture. Rear sight is a little bit blurry. Sight picture is blurry. Front sight is clear. Okay. Hope you guys get that.